We're nearing the end of 2025, so that means it's time for my annual desk and home office tour. It's one of the favorite videos I make on the channel here. I spend most of my days in my office and at my desk, gaming, working, and tinkering. Every year we get closer and closer to the ultimate hybrid desk and home office setup for my PC, for my MacBook, my PS5. Let's get into it. Starting off with the bones of the setup, the desk. Brand new for me this year is the Vernal standing desk. It's 71 inches by 29.5 inches with the solid walnut tabletop. It is absolutely gorgeous and really gives a premium feel to the setup. Standing desks are a must for me at this point too. I love having multiple options, whether it's sitting or standing while I'm working or gaming for really long extended sessions, but they're also really good to be able to dial in your sitting height. And having that height adjustability is really great if you need to access anything underneath your desk or if you want to use something like a walking pad or treadmill. This is probably the most feature-rich standing desk I've ever used. We'll get into more of the details later, but it's definitely been a big upgrade. Vernal is also kind enough to sponsor this year's update video, so a huge thanks to them for supporting the channel. And on that note, let's move from the desk to the brains of the setup. Like I said, it's a hybrid desk setup with both Mac and PC. For Mac, I have an M3 Max MacBook Pro. I got somewhere around early 2024, late 2023. That thing is an absolute beast. Not new for this year, but that thing continues to impress. It can handle everything I throw at it. Multi 4K streams for video edits. It chews through it like it's old cell phone footage or something. I ran my 2018 MacBook Pro into the ground before I got this one, so I'm sure I have at least several more years with this. Granted, I don't upgrade my cameras anytime soon. And on the Windows side of things, I have my custom gaming PC that I built out last year. I have an entire video showcasing the build if you want to see and watch that, but has a 4070 Ti Super and a 7800 X3D. That thing has been a pleasure to use and game on over the past year. Can handle just about any game I throw at it, Cyberpunk, even Alan Wake 2, some of those really heavy hitting titles. I will have to use DLSS, but I can usually get 4K 60 without issue. Gaming performance is great, but I do have one side note question to ask for all of you. I've been having some network issues with that PC since I got it. It connects to the internet through any app or game just fine, but it won't load anything in the web browser. If you have ideas for how to fix this, let me know in the comments. I've tried just about everything I can think of and find online. And a bunch of you recommended it last year, but I have moved the PC off of the desk to make some more space. That's been really great. I have a little Vernal PC stand that goes on the leg. I think it's awesome and super sturdy, and it freed up a ton of space for an extra monitor that we're getting into. The LG C2 does live on for another year. It's a 42-inch WOLED TV. That thing is so great. If you've been on the fence about getting something like that for your desk setup, trust me, it's awesome. I just can't seem to part with it. The extra space is amazing for video editing, and it's also just unbelievably immersive if you do a lot of single player gaming like I do. But I did add a secondary monitor this year. It is the Asus PG32 UCDM. It is a 240 Hz 4K QD OLED monitor. That is absolutely overkill for a secondary monitor. I absolutely agree. I'd plan on using it as my main one, but again, I just couldn't part with the 42 inch, so I figured out a way to include both in the setup. It's been a really great system since I set it up. I love having the extra vertical monitor when I'm getting work done. It's also really nice for gaming. A lot of times I want a secondary monitor for reference stuff. Again, I play a lot of single player type of things, so I'm looking up guides or tips or maps or anything like that. So I can have that running on the secondary display and still have my giant 42-inch game running right in front of me. It is also really nice. I have the monitor arms behind in a way that I can easily pull it out and rotate it. So if I want that higher refresh rate for some competitive games, I can do that pretty easily. I haven't done it that much. I still love playing Counter-Strike 2 on the big 42 inch. 120 Hertz has generally been enough for me, but I have that 240 if I need it, and I have an extra reference monitor for work and for gaming. It's absolutely awesome. Switching over into audio, there's only been one change, but it's a huge one. My speakers now are the SVS Prime Wireless Pro. I did several videos about them earlier in the year, so you're probably already familiar if you stick around on the channel, but those speakers are amazing. They're definitely a bit pricey, but the sound is unbelievable. I have them paired with a 3000 micro subwoofer, also from SVS. It is absolutely overkill for a desk setup. I really debated putting it out in my living room because it outshines my living room audio for sure, but I'm in here way more than my living room, so I wanted to keep it in here to use. Sound quality is a 10 out of 10 for those, but there's also a lot of really great connectivity. They work really well for room speakers. You can connect with Wi-Fi or Bluetooth from your phone. A lot of times if I'm filming B-roll for the day in the office, I'll just pop something on there. I don't need to get into my computer to play anything. And just like the PC, I've also moved these off of the desk to clear out more space. I have these little, clamp riser stands. They've been working really well. Not only does it free up that space, but it moves the speakers a lot closer to ear level. It actually makes a pretty big difference in the sound quality. I was really set on finding something that wasn't too big or too small for those speakers. I'm pretty impressed, and they're about half the price of some of the other alternatives. I've been testing out a few pair of IEMs lately, but my over-ear cans are still my go-tos generally. They're the Sennheiser HD6XX, probably the best deal in headphones if you're looking for sound quality above all else. I've had them for like 4 years now, I think. You'll have to check back on these old videos. They're amazing though, and I have those running into the JDS Labs Element 2 amp. Again, really solid. I almost made some changes this year, but just can't seem to part with that either. I do quite a few desk gear videos throughout the year, so I'm always testing out different peripherals, but I've got a few really great favorites right now that I'm using. Last year, you might remember, I tried to use a gaming mouse for work and gaming. I ended up switching back to a 2-mouse setup. I think it's just a lot more intuitive, and I can spare the desk space for one extra mouse. So I have the MX Master 3 for anything work related, and that thing is, the best, as everyone already knows. But for gaming, I did make an upgrade this year for the Pulsar X-Lite Crazy Light mouse. That thing is amazing. It has 8K polling, and it even comes with the 8K polling dongle with no extra charge. Not naming any names there. But the ergonomics work really well for me. It's a lot smaller than you might think, but somehow even with my long, lanky fingers, it fits really well. Super comfortable in the hands, super lightweight, as the name would suggest. It is perfect as far as I'm concerned. As I've gotten more into gaming, I realize more and more how much I need a dedicated mouse pad. I did actually order one a couple weeks ago, but it has been back ordered, so I don't think it's going to be here in time for the video or the B-roll, unfortunately, but I'm looking forward to that because the desk pad works well enough, but I'm just looking for any edge I can, especially since getting this really good mouse, I can really tell the difference. Keyboard has also seen a really great upgrade this year. Keychron has blended two of my all-time favorite keyboards together into one, which is great. This is the Keychron Q12HE. It is the Southpaw number pad version, so it has that number pad on the left-hand side, which is excellent. I had the old Q12 Max with that and loved that layout. But since that came out, they've now updated it with Hall effect magnetic switches, so it is the best of both worlds. I get that full number pad on the left-hand side, which is really good for Southpaws like me, but it's also really good for mouse ergonomics. You have a lot more space for your mouse on the right-hand side, and you still get the number pad available, so really good for that. And the Hall effect switches are the best of the best for gaming. They feel really great, and you have a ton of customization for the pressure levels. I still also have my Apple Magic trackpad, and I have that on a little walnut Grove made stand. It just looks a lot nicer that way, I think. I love having the trackpad in addition to the mouse. It's kind of the best of both worlds. I was a laptop only user for so many years. I got used to all the gesture controls and couldn't part with them. So this way I get all the gesture controls and the swiping, but I still get all the normal mouse stuff. It is great. And for controllers, I have just sort of the stock PS5 controller for my PS5. I really love that DualSense vibration, but for PC gaming, I upgraded a few months back. I have the GameSir G7 Pro. It is basically an Xbox Elite controller at half the price. It has been just unbelievably great to use. Would highly recommend it if you're on a budget, but you still want some of those, top tier features that the more expensive controllers have. And underneath all of that, I have the Grove made wool felt desk mat. I've had these for a number of years. I just recently switched to the light gray version just to change it up. I've been using more light peripherals, so I thought it would look good. Those wool felt pads though are awesome. I just love incorporating as many natural textures into the setup as I can. Warm lighting, I have stone coasters, the wool felt, the wood, the metals. It just has a more organic feel to offset some of the tech. Shifting into storage and some other accessories, I have an OWC Thunder Bay. It is a 4-bay hard drive enclosure with Thunderbolt 4. Inside I have 4 16TB Iron Wolf drives that stores all of my video footage, and I have that backed up to my server as well as Backblaze. Would highly recommend Backblaze as well if you don't have any offsite backup yet. Super cheap, super great, and reliable. Been a paying customer for many, many years. And the rest of my accessories all kind of live in or under my Grove-made desk shelf. This is the XL size. If you remember from a couple years back, I actually went to the Grove-made studio and helped build this one myself. So it has, some sentimental value for me. But I love that bigger size with the bigger desk. I think it just makes everything look really premium, and you get a ton of storage space so you can keep the desk looking clean, but still have access to everything that you need. My MacBook Hub is a CalDigit TS4. It has just about everything I need in there. Plenty of bandwidth for multiple monitors, all the peripherals and storage, and anything I could ask for. I have a coiled USB-C cable to be able to charge any of the peripherals as they need it. My couple of e-ink tablets also live there, although I don't usually use them at my desk much. I have the Books Palma. That thing is amazing as an e-reader for travel. It's super lightweight and compact, so you can throw it into a bag or your pocket really easily, and it's a full Android-based tablet, but I typically just use it for reading books. I also have the Note Air 3C. That is a color e-paper tablet. The thing is awesome, really fun for drawing and sketching. You can also read books on there and have, full color e-paper screen, which is super unique and super fun. I have a really tiny compact thermal printer that'll print full size pages. Those are really nice if you're like me and only need a printer a couple of times a year. I don't want to deal with the hassle of a large printer in here that's only going to get used once or twice. And then I have my little Grove-made desk tray that holds all of my pens and adapters and little cables, some spare hard drives, all sorts of random little stuff in there. Lastly, in the desk shelf, I have my webcam. I don't actually keep this hooked up on my desk because I usually take all of my calls here. Just because I have all the lighting, I'll pull my laptop out here. It just looks a lot nicer, and the background out in there is a lot nicer compared to all the filming gear in front of us here. I've been using, though, the Insta360 Link 2. I'm testing this out compared to my old OBSBot Tiny 2 Lite. This thing might actually be a little bit better. I've had a really tough time finding anything to beat it, and I think this might do it. We're going to get into it more in a future video most likely, but the video quality is really good. The gimbal quality is really good as well for the tracking. I've been really impressed with it so far. And the lighting is super simple, but really important to me. I have a desk monitor light bar. I know those are a bit divisive. They're really great for work. I tend to shut them off when I'm gaming though. I have the BenQ Screen Bar Pro for another year. That thing's been going strong. And then behind the monitor and behind the desk, I have Philips Hue light strips. They just add a little bit of bias lighting, helps a lot with eye strain, and just adds a little bit more warm, cozy light in the office here. And I almost forgot the chair, but I am continuing to use the Herman Miller Aeron chair. I bought this thing used 7-ish years ago for like $200. It is amazing. I tested out the Leap V2 a while back. That is also a really incredible chair. Those are kind of the two best of the best options right now. After like 6 or 8 months with the Leap 2, I think I decided that the Aeron just fits my messed up back a little bit better. Ideally, I would blend features from both chairs and have one hybrid chair that is absolutely perfect, because there's a lot of things I miss from the Leap 2, but the Aeron just has that long-term comfort for my scoliosis back, and for extended sessions, it's just really important to be as comfortable as possible. Shifting gears though to talk about the desk before we get into the rest of my home office, I am absolutely in love with this solid wood tabletop on the Vernal standing desk. Can't stress enough how nice it looks and feels. I think it is well worth the upgrade from a laminate or veneer top. The actual standing desk part of the desk though is equally impressive. It has a really big height range. It goes from 26 inches all the way up to 49 inches. That's plenty of range for anyone to be able to sit and stand up. Even like a 7-foot tall basketball player would probably have a few inches to spare. I usually keep mine around 38 inches when I'm standing up, if memory serves me right. Really nice to be able to switch up the positions throughout the day though. I love alternating between sitting and standing. I'm still usually sitting, but hour 5, hour 6, it's great to just get up for a little while. I also really like using my walking pad treadmill with it, especially in the winter months. It's starting to get pretty rainy and gloomy here in Portland, so I tend to rely on that a lot more for exercise when it's cold. The movement though is incredibly fast, even with the desk loaded up all the way, and ridiculously stable. The most stable standing desk I've ever used. It has a steel frame with 264 pounds of rated load capacity with a max capacity of 355 pounds. I'm not sure what the total weight weight of everything I have on there is, but it is an enormous amount, definitely more than I weigh, between the two monitors and the hard drives and the computer. And I also have a UPS unit sitting underneath. It is super, super heavy, and it acts like it is completely empty. No stuttering, no hesitating, no, stressing when you're going up and down. It is really nice. I was looking into how they pulled this off, and it seems like they have some extra reinforcement in the frame compared to most others. I don't know how they do it, but it is amazingly stable. Assembly was super easy and straightforward. It generally is for standing desks, but this was a little bit of a leg up compared to anything else I've tried. All of the bolts have metal threaded inserts, or at least most of them. I think that makes a huge difference for the overall sturdiness and feel compared to drilling directly into the wood. You have that strong metal connection, which was really nice. I also noticed because of that, I was worried about the tolerances. All the tolerances for the placement to get everything to line up was absolutely perfect. I have no issues there, and that is not as common as you might think. The control unit is also really nice. It is extremely slim and sleek up against the edge of the desk. I really like it. It's super simple with no extra or unnecessary buttons. It looks clean. Because it's so inset as well, you're a lot less prone to any accidental touches. That happens a lot more than you might think. It's really nice to use. You have 3 different memory settings as well, so you can have your own preset for sitting and standing, or if you share the desk with someone, they can have their own custom setting as well. You also have, custom minimum or maximum height options and a child lock setting. Got everything covered in a really simple and elegant way. Vernal has an enormous amount of accessory options as well, many of which come with it by default with no extra charge, which I thought was a really great touch. On both ends of the desk, it comes with little hooks so you can hook on your headphones like I always do, or you could have cables if you have loose cables that hang down. Just a really simple but really nice touch that you don't see elsewhere. It also comes with a cable management tray. I didn't end up using it for my setup because I have something that runs the entire 72 inches, but for most average people, or most people in general, I think the cable management tray that comes with it is going to be great. In addition to the freebies, they have a ton of other optional accessories you can add on. They have a little, slide out keyboard tray. They have a little under desk type of trays. They have their own monitor stands that look really nice and little grommets for their laminate desks. I actually got, like I mentioned earlier, the little PC holder that sticks to the arm. The thing is super strong and sturdy. I felt very confident putting my PC on there. That is irreplaceable for me cost-wise right now. Looks and feels great, and again, I just can't believe it didn't affect the stability at all. I have so much weight, especially on that side of the desk, and it is just incredibly smooth. I'm sure I sound like I'm laying it on pretty thick, but it has been a really nice, premium experience using and getting this set up. There's a lot of polish and a lot of just little details that you don't see from very many other brands. Moving into the rest of the home office though, I definitely feel like I am due for an upgrade and have graduated from the, working out of the bedroom stage, but I'm still making it work. But next year we might be looking at some bigger, alternative options here to make some bigger changes to the setup. Something that hasn't changed though is my little reading lounge chair Nook. I have my Eames lounge dupe. I've had that thing for about 3 years now. It is the most comfortable chair in my entire apartment. I love it. That's usually where I read books if I want to get away for some quiet time, or I want to just get away from the desk for a little bit. It's a nice reset to have an additional space, and it's just nice and quiet and comfortable and cozy to read books, or if I want to play my Legion Go or something. And in between the chair and the desk, I have a little console table. My PS5 is inside of there, along with storage for some older legacy tech. I have my Xbox 360 and an old Mac Mini, and I think my Xbox One is in there right now. Keep my lenses, and I have my nice lamp that all of you ask about. And before the questions come in, I got it from Etsy like 5 years ago. It's discontinued now, but there are some similar ones. I'll try and find something and link it in the description below. But the biggest changes this year come from my little 3D printing corner, which is now expanded out to a full, tinkering corner. I have my Husky Workbench tool bench. That thing has been really great. I know it's a little bit cheesy and cliche for YouTubers to have it, but I can see why. I love having all the storage in there. It's given me a lot more room for my tools and a ton of extra 3D printing stuff as well. It's been kind of a catch-all that I need to organize, but I really love it, and it's super stable and sturdy. Above that though, I have my Bambu Labs X1 Carbon 3D printer. That thing is amazing. printing, I'm back to just one single printer right now. I didn't really need to have multiple set up for what I have been doing with it. The X1C is, one of the top of the line. It was at the time that I got it, at least. It's still awesome. I use it constantly and need to start making some more videos about it because I really love it. Next to that though, I have a little Creality filament dryer. I've been paying a lot more attention to the humidity levels in my office and my 3D prints. I have a whole cereal box set up for my filament now with little humidity sensors and silica gel inside. It's worked really well. It makes it really easy to grab and go and swap out for different filaments. One of the biggest changes to the home office, and specifically the tinkering corner though, in front of the window, I have the Creality Falcon A1 laser engraver. I actually got this thing a few months back and just didn't have anywhere to set it up. I've been dying to try it out. I just got it set up a few weeks ago. I've been having a blast testing out. Still a lot to learn, but so far so good. It seems really beginner friendly, and the interface of designing things on a 2D plane, something I can get behind a lot easier, having come from a graphic design background compared to making 3D models. So I think I'm going to be able to, jump right in a lot more in depth than I have been with the 3D printer. Still learning all the CAD software and everything for that. More to come for sure on the 3D printing and the laser engraving. Let me know if there's any specific types of topics or ideas you want to see in the future. Underneath the laser engraver though, I got a couple of new pieces of furniture which made setting it up a possibility. First up is the Vernal side cabinet. It measures 39 inches long and it's 20 inches tall. It's a really great size to have in front of the window. I think it feels really natural there and kind of extends out the space to really fill out the rest of the office and utilize as much space in here as absolutely possible. They have a few different versions available on their website. They have a taller version as well, and they have one with closed drawers. I have the short open drawer version. Assembly was unbelievably easy. I think it only took me like 20-25 minutes to get that thing together fully. You have some really great collapsible pull-out drawers that are really nice. I'm still deciding what to put in these shelves underneath. I'm working out. I like to have that space open and make sure I decide on the right thing instead of just filling it up with whatever. But the quality seems really great, and I love the form factor for the space that I wanted to put it in. Next to that is the last Vernal accessory I got is actually a rolling metal file cabinet. I am long overdue for something like this. Like a child, I've been storing important paperwork in random shoe boxes for my entire adult life. So I have a proper filing cabinet now to get a little bit better organized and sorted out with some important paperwork. It also just gives me a little bit of extra storage for some smaller doodads and other options. I'm always looking for as much storage in here as possible. Stuff management for making all of these videos can be a constant challenge for me, but it's really great so far. It came fully assembled. It feels super sturdy and strong. I love the metal. Again, it's another texture in here to add. It locks as well, so if you want a little bit of additional security. Came with a little tray too for like pens or any other accessories if you want to store it underneath your desk instead. And the only other area we haven't talked about yet was the filming setup here. Not a lot of changes. This has all been working out really well for me. I have the Sony a7 IV as my main camera. Above the desk here, I have a Sony a6400. I would love to add a third camera to the setup just to get a little bit more coverage, but it's not fully necessary. Audio, I made a huge endgame upgrade like 3 or 4 years back, and I definitely am happy I did. What you're hearing now is the Sennheiser MKH50, and that's running into a Zoom F6 recorder. I have a few aperture lights, and I have a little tube light as a hair light right above me here. I have an old iPad that I keep notes in. I don't typically script out my videos, but I'll put little facts and notes to have as reference so I can still go off the cuff but not sound like a complete moron. And next to the camera, I have a monitor here. This is an ancient TV I bought in like 2009, but it works really well as a camera monitor because it's so big. I can get focus on these tiny macro shots that I like to do a lot easier than working with a little screen or even those little monitors. So if you have an old TV around, use that. They're way cheaper than buying dedicated camera monitors. You lose out on a few of the features that proper monitors might have, but you make up for it with the additional space for focusing, which is really nice. But that is the end of the tour. Hopefully I didn't ramble on too long. It's always so fun to make these to see what changes and updates I make from year to year, being able to go back to previous years. I remember the first year or two in here, basically just had an empty desk and that was it. I wasn't really working out of this full time though, so now I am, and now all of you, help support and watch the videos, which has given us a lot more flexibility to have a lot more fun around here. Thank you all so much for that, and also thank you to Vernal for sponsoring this week's video. Their gear has been awesome. Definitely check it out. I've got links in the description down below. Let me know what sorts of videos like this that you want to see in the future, other desk tours, desk accessories. I'd love to hear about your desk setup too. Tell me about it or send me a link if you've made a video. I will check it out. Thank you all so much for watching though, and I'll talk to you in the next one.